to look at examples of why that shouldn't be made, look at one Ghostbusters 2, and then look at Blues Brothers 2000. Like, just let it go. Just let it go. The most depressing thing about Blues Brothers 2000 is the very beginning, before the movie starts, there's a title screen that says, in memory of John Belushi, John Candy, and Cab Calloway. Like, the three most interesting aspects of that movie. They're all dead, and we're going to make the movie anyway. And I fear if a Ghostbusters 3 happens, they'll say, in memory of Harold Ramis. Like, oh, poor Harold Ramis.
Yeah. But I think the reason why this first act works is because it plays up these three characters.
Yes.
And
yes.
Their schlubbiness, their awkwardness, like Bill Murray's a con man, he's doing his con man bit.
Yeah.
Egon's a bizarre scientist who's out of touch with normal people.
Yeah.
And you
Raised
know,
in love with the occult.
Raised in love with the occult and
occult bookstore.
He's obsessed with his craft and what he does and that's...
And nobody gives a fuck about Winston, so they don't really show what he's doing.
They give him one scene early on so you remember him, and then he disappears.
Winston was just a gag in the first one, essentially, right?
I think he's in this. See, I think he's in this because the cartoon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Winston does not need to be in this movie.
He served a very specific purpose in the first movie, which was to explain how all this science works to the audience. He's the every guy. He has no real character other than that. He's just a guy. Now we know how all this stuff works, and he's completely unnecessary.
And the joke's over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of think Winston's presence in the first one was some kind of bizarre, dated joke. Like I think it was just sort of like they hired an extra guy.
Well, it's funny that they just have this guy who's uninvolved. He's just a guy.
He's just there for a paycheck. Yeah.
And he's just with them.
Yeah.
That itself is kind of funny.
Yeah. And
he's just some guy that got hired to help, and he knows nothing about what's going on.
Yeah. But he works as explaining, like they explain to him how the containment unit works and all that. So he has a story function as well.
You
but
could use
yeah,
Peter
he is just a
Venkman's
guy.
character in that regard too, though.
I suppose.
Like Egon could explain to him what's going on, but
in this movie, he serves absolutely no purpose.
Yeah,
that's true. A lot of things don't serve any purpose in this movie.
I do like Janos. He's a nice new addition because he's something different. Even though he serves the same story function as Rick Moranis in the first movie,
right?
He's weird, and I like him. He has some good lines. I think one of my favorite lines in this movie is when it just happened, where he says, "Everything you're doing is wrong. I want you to know this."
I really like when Venkman asks him, like, he's like, "Where's that accent from? Where are you from?" And he's like, "The Upper West Side."
Yeah, he's something different for this movie. Whenever